I don't care if it's a boy or a girl. I want them to think
For themselves.
but also think far ahead in life as well.
Yeah.
Don't just sacrifice long-term gain for temporary happiness. All right. Welcome back.
How is everyone?
Well gone. You know what? I'm gonna stop speaking a lot of slang in my language. I wanna sound proper. You know, I wanna sound proper. Too much slang these days is not good.
Too much slang in it. No, but you can code switch.
And that's what I'm trying to do. But it's so hard to do that.
It can be so hard.
Yeah, and especially I just bust out the most random slang, like the street slang, and then some white guys just look at me like.
Good one, pal.
Good one, pal. Especially Americans. I get a lot of Americans at work, and they're like, "Oh, what does that mean, man?" It's like, "Oh yeah."
Yeah.
You know. But anyways.
But remember that? Do you know that that video that Barack Obama did? Where he's like shaking the hands. Oh, what? And then when it gets to like the black people, it's like, yeah.
Come on, man, bring it in, bro. But it's not Barack Obama, it's Jordan Peele. Shout out Jordan Peele.
Oh, was it?
Yeah.
Oh.
They made a parody.
Oh yeah. But yeah, finally the audio is working.
Hopefully the audio is working, guys. And let's just see. We still got a lot to, change and improve on as time goes on. And yeah, we're gonna try and do this more often, so we're gonna have more episodes coming out more frequently, depending on this person, because we're both busy people. Like, even though I have the time, she's always late. So
what do you mean?
She's just a girl.
He was late as well, by the way, because I saw him on the same bus. You were literally on the same bus as me. I told you go ahead.
Yeah.
And you were still on the same bus as me.
And I was like, I saw her. Yeah, I was like, oops, say Daisy. She was gonna have a lot of ammo to hit me with. But anyways, shout out to your friends.
Yeah, my friends be supporting.
Yeah.
Laura,
Shout
Rianne, and Rianne is a music producer and singer.
Ooh.
So check out her page, because I wanna link her page.
Right,
and
man.
also Elsa is a travel content creator. Thank you so much. Thank you. Shout outs.
Yeah. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you guys for supporting. And yeah, we're gonna jump right into it. So, what we have today, now there is a topic that we are planning to discuss on. What is it? Boom. Is there anything right now in life that is pressuring you, like as we get older, like marriage, children, your career, like where you want to go, and just your generic mental health?
After you.
Ladies first.
After you.
Ladies first. And hey, don't be putting the glasses on, because there's, No, I'm just putting on my head. It's a headband. Okay. Fine. You know what? You're such a P. Anyways, I'll go first. So, as of right now, I am not worried about marriage at all. I don't think I'll be worried about marriage for a very long time. Now, this topic can go very deep in itself, and I'm not sure if I want to jump into this because we're already running out of time. We literally just started, but Asian people timings. But yeah, marriage, no. Children, I've kind of changed my view on children. When I was like 20, 21, 23, I was like, yeah, I'm probably never gonna have children.
Why do you think that?
One, they were annoying as hell, and they still are annoying. And two, I never really saw myself as a father in terms of stability. I feel like I have a lot to teach the child, but I also have a lot of expectations for the child to be, and I think that's quite. It's hypocritical, because I didn't want my mom to have the same pressure on me. However, I know I'm gonna have the same pressure on my kid, so it's not really fair. So I want to get to a point where I'm mentally stable enough to allow the kid to do what he or she wants, but also because I don't really know how I'm gonna raise a kid. What's the right way to raise a kid? There is no right way.
I don't think any parent would know how to raise a kid.
But you'd think that after raised, I wouldn't say wrongly. That's just unfair on my mom. But after raising one certain way, you'd think that, okay, maybe let me raise my child the opposite way, right? Instead of forcing him with words, because Chinese parents do this, Asian parents do this. I'm sure not just Asian parents, but they pressure their kids into doing something by manipulating them, by saying,
in what way?
like using hard words, or like, especially my mom loved using this, like, oh, I birthed you, like, do you think I'm just supposed to give you money? So something like that. Do you think I'm just supposed to support you for what?
Yeah.
And then obviously I don't, back then I stopped talking back, so I kind of just let it all simmer inside. But that rage goes somewhere.
Yeah,
it outlets somewhere.
Into adulthood as well.
And I just know that I don't think I'm ready to raise my kid like that, and I don't want to raise my kid like that. So in terms of children. However, I do want kids. I do want kids, and I just don't think I'm financially stable at the moment to have it.
Yeah, it's very expensive to raise kids nowadays, especially with the economy. We can barely even hold ourselves up, imagine with children. But what you were saying as well with the way that you're raising children, wouldn't also that encourage you to want to have kids because you know that you can do better for them, knowing the weaknesses that your parents had, you can alter that to then help your kid be raised in a different way.
True, but I realize words, even though sometimes you say it without meaning them, it still has impact on some people for their future, right? And raising kids, like, you only get one chance to raise a kid correctly. That's how I think. Because if you said, if at one point you snap out of your routine of teaching this kid the better way or the other way, and you snap out of it and you just screaming at him, you just start throwing words at him or her, I think that one fuck up can just completely destroy all your progress with that kid.
It really can.
Yeah, so it's like you have to make sure you're damn near perfect parent.
Yeah. But that's the thing though, because I think as children, we put our parents in this pedestal that they are perfect, that everything that they say goes, everything that they do is the right way. Because imagine being a kid, you're fresh out of the womb, like you're inside the womb, you're in something very, very comfortable, and then once you're outside of the womb, you're into the wilderness. And it's overly stimulating to be in a world where you don't know what anything is. Like, have you ever seen those children at the park and they just look at you like this? Not because of any malice. Not for any malice, but they just look at you like this. For the longest time, it's because they are socially learning from you. And I think your parents, I think the family, the home is where it all stems from. I think that is the template to how we can see the world, and I think your parents play such a big part in that. So we see everything that they do. Let's say, for example, if a parent is very toxic, we think, oh, that's normal because this is all that I've ever known. So they go out into the world and then they hurt other people, they do other things that is toxic to other people, and they may not even realize it's toxic because that's all that they've ever known. So I think the house should have a firm foundation. A firm foundation in terms of its values, its principles. With the parents as well, a firm foundation. Especially the parents. Like, I think before you go into marriage or before you go into having children, I really do think that marriage counseling would help. How are we going to raise the kid? What kind of values will we put upon them? How are we going to do this? And I think having that compatibility and that alignment would be able to establish a more foundation in the house, and then that can be carried on to how they are outside.
I just feel like there's so much degeneracy these days, and I think that comes down from generation after generation. It's passed down. This degeneracy is passed down. It's like a never-ending cycle. In America, let's just say, like the amount of single moms raising their kids without a dad. It's crazy, and it's. I want to make sure that if I'm getting married to this woman, right, and we have kids, is that and there's a lot of cases of these as well where couples stay together before the kid. They no longer have love for each other. They no longer even want to be service to each other, but they're staying together in front of the kid. Right? But the kid, obviously, at some point when the kid gets to a certain age, they can kind of feel something's off, about the parents. But regardless, they try and keep it together for the kid because they know that the kid outweighs their own personal happiness at some point. Do you know what I mean? And they're putting the kid first because that kid embodies both of their, I want to say, future. And if it's like, if me and you, let's say me and you in a marriage, and we don't work out and we start to resent each other, because resentment is a big thing after 30, 20 years of marriage, they resent each other. I want to make sure that we can still be, we both have the maturity, right? And the intellect to be like, okay, boom, we don't love each other. I don't like you no more. I generally don't like. However, we have a kid. We, at some point in our lives, decided to create a life. And we both decided to stay at the time to take care of it. And we should still do it now. Stay and take care of it now.
Take care of it.
Take care of, you know, of the child, the baby, the kid, whatever it is. And no matter what happens, we don't let the kid, until he's 18, she's 18.
They can make their own informed decisions.
Yeah, exactly. Until then, we try and keep it together. Try our best to keep it together for the kid, you know. I don't want to, and this is another thing as well. If a girl, like, I feel like girls need to have a good role model, in terms of dad role models, and guys need to have a good female role model in terms of their mom, right? Because this is like Inception type shit. Because then, that as they grow older, that's how they will treat their own partners, right? And you hear a lot of people say, oh, you know, I got daddy issues. Girls say I got daddy issues. Guys say I got mom issues. That's exactly why I don't want my kids to be having no kind of issues. Do you know what I mean? No daddy, no mom issues. Obviously, that's probably impossible, but they're gonna have some sort of problems. But I want my kid to be, you know, the most intelligent, most deep person ever. And I don't care if it's a boy or a girl. I want them to think
for themselves,
but also think far ahead in life as well. Don't just sacrifice long-term gain for temporary happiness. Do you know what I mean? It like everybody wants short-term pleasure, and everybody like short pleasure comes with long-term problems. Like
it does.
I want them to understand that concept. And not throw some shit away for the short-term gain. I don't want them to do that. If they do, I feel like I'll be very disappointed, and I feel like I failed as a parent.
And I think there's a lot of parents who feel guilt as well. I think sometimes when we become very rebellious, like for example, I was very rebellious as a teenager. I think my parents had a lot of guilt thinking that it was their fault, but actually it was not. It's just that I had my own internal things, and I think we need to give parents some slack, because even though ethnic parents, like I'm just speaking specifically from ethnic parents' perspective, but it can be with any parent. I think because me personally, I come from an Asian background and I was born in the Philippines. So my family and I, we grew up in the south of Philippines in Mindanao, which is one of the poorest provinces in Philippines. We had our own Philippines. We had our own farm as well, our rice farm. So we didn't grow up with a silver platter in our mouth. If anything, the very thing that my parents did that got them out of poverty was literally one, God of course, and two, working hard in education. So education is such a big thing because they think that that is the only way for you to be successful. So that's all they know. That's all that they know, which worked for them back then. But now we are such in a privileged position, because
much
more privileged, very, very blessed, because their hard work has led to now us having all the opportunities, to the point where you don't even need a degree to earn a lot more than those who do have a degree. You don't even need a degree to be successful in this culture that we're living in. And it's because of that. However, because of those traditions, because of those limitations, and I would also say the lack of information that they have with our Western culture now, that then kind of manifests in them projecting certain things onto you when they don't supposedly intentionally do that. They don't do it on purpose, but they do that out of what they know and what made them successful in the world that they lived in back then, in the culture that they lived in, not knowing that now, because times have changed, but also because their hard work has put us in a different setting, in a different environment where opportunities are bigger.
Yeah,
you know,
that's a good point.
So I think
that's a good point.
Yeah,
a lot of parents don't have that. I don't think they have that. When I say parents, I'm talking about, you know, poverty parents, parents that come from poverty or Asian parents. You know, they don't actually understand that what they did for us and for themselves actually put us in a position where they can be a bit less. I don't want to say strict, but less demanding of like this one line. Hey, this is the way to get.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Especially when it comes to jobs and careers.
Yeah. It's like, wait, you don't, do you not realize what you did back then intentionally put me in a position where I don't have to do that.
Yeah.
And I don't think a lot of them actually see that.
Yeah, and I think it's just working for you. And the reason why I sympathize with parents, especially parents like from first generation, is
that's
because
crazy,
it's so crazy because I see whenever I talk about topics like this, I always think about my parents, especially my mom who worked so hard.
Yeah.
So she works as a nurse. I remember one time she worked 21 days in a row, 12-hour shifts without no days off in between.
Yeah.
Just so she can provide for me and my brother, and not once have my brother and I ever lacked in anything. Like, yes, we grew up in a farm, our house was always flooded, even though it wasn't really a house, it was like a box with one of those metal ridges as the roof. Like,
no way.
That's my roots, man, that's my culture. But not once have I ever felt as though, yeah, I'm poor. You know, not once have I ever skipped a meal. Like, I'm good, I'm well fed,
that's
you
what
know?
Mom says as well.
So
spend money on all the money you can on food, never let yourself be hungry.
Yeah,
but
it's always food.
Don't spend dumb shit on shoes, clothes. You have enough jackets, you have enough shoes, man. Why do you keep buying shoes?
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, mom, why did you spend money? Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, it's for food.
It's for food. Like,
just don't make yourself go hungry.
Yeah, exactly. It's always, and I think that's a big love language as well, because in Asian culture they will never say I love you.
Yeah,
they will never say that, but they will always say, have you eaten yet?
Yeah, have you eaten? Do you want me to make you food?
Yeah. Like when your parents do something wrong and they're sorry for you, they cook you like the best meal ever. You're like, that's their sorry. That's their sorry.
Oh my
that's
god. My mom's go-to dish is dumplings, bro.
Is it?
Pork, obviously not all of you eat pork, but like pork, white cabbage dumplings is my favorite. Sometimes add a little sprinkle of, you know, some shrimp in there with the eggs. Not together, like two separate dishes.
Oh, separate.
Yeah, like shrimp and eggs and pork and cabbage. Oh, those two. Right. When she knows she fucked up, she'd be like, oh, I'm making dumplings tonight. What time are you coming home? I'm like, but the thing is, I feel so bad because now I'm at the age where I'm working so much. Like I've been doing bare all the time, and all I've been doing is working gym. And I don't even have time for her no more. And when she said, oh, I'm making dumplings, 8 p.m. What time are you gonna be home? I'm like, oh, 3 a.m. She's like, oh, okay, I'll just leave it out for you. And then in my head I'm thinking, fuck, I don't even get to eat the hot, fresh dumplings and to enjoy
the
nostalgia, the freshness, and to also let her see me eat.
Yes.
Because I feel like that is a big satisfaction.
They have so much joy seeing you eat.
Yeah, man. They're like, especially, she's like, well, I used to get like a whole plate of like 30 dumplings, and she makes them pretty big in it. They're like this.
Oh yeah.
I eat like 30, and then she's like, oh, what? Is that what you're gonna eat? I'm like, yeah, just give me a few minutes. And,
like take a break. Take a break.
Take a break. But obviously, I never go back and you have more because I'm just stuffed. But like.
Man, that reminds me of so many memories. Like especially when it comes to food. I think food has such a core memory to it. It's like a string.
Do you think it's because food obviously releases dopamine the same way sex does? Do you think it's like it gives us pleasure in the same way similar to sex? Do you think, not to make this weird, but do you feel like the parents, obviously they're trying to give you pleasure and the only way they can give you pleasure is food?
It's food.
And it's like, obviously that's their love language. You know, they, especially Asian culture, they don't give you kisses, they don't really hug you.
They don't
like
words of affirmation is not always
words of affirmation, physical touch is not really there, so it's like, I guess gift giving, you can call that.
I think acts of service. Acts of service. I think from what I've seen in our culture, Asian culture, is very much acts of service. We won't say it, but we're gonna do it.
Yeah.
Even if like my mom is angry at me, she's still gonna do it for me. She's still gonna do this and that for me, and even when she's angry.
I realized what's crazy is that me and you, and probably a lot of people in our timeline, born within 1995, 2002 maybe, between that era. I've searched it up. It's either Gen Z or millennials. I don't even know what we are, bro. But I'm born in '98, and I feel like we're the generation where it's like we're the first to receive iPhone technology, the transition. We're the first generation to transition into that technological advancement, right? Mm-hmm. But we're also the first generation, like you said, we're the first generation immigrant, and would we count as first generation or second generation?
I'm first generation.
Because you were born here?
I wasn't born here.
You were born here?
We're in Philippines.
Okay, I wasn't born here, so I'm first generation. No.
Yes, you're first generation. Wait, was your mom here?
Born here or no?
Did your mom come here?
Yeah, my mom came here.
Then you would
I'm second. Am I second?
Is it?
I think I might be second. Regardless, is this transition period I'm talking about, yeah? This period, I feel like we're the only ones to actually see both sides. Mm-hmm. The next generation won't even see the poverty we have. Mm-hmm. Because when you're talking about the roof that you were living under, my mom lived under those roofs, and I basically, for my first 4 or 5 years of life, I was under those village things as well. And then as soon as that, I moved with my dad in the city, and then 2 years later I moved to London.
Yeah.
So it's like I remember living in that poverty, but not for long. But I was like, we're the last generation to experience both. Now we're living in the advancements. Unless
you have children of your own and then take them to your native country.
Deliberately, but that's deliberately.
Yeah.
I don't know if I want to do that deliberately. However, what my point is this is why it's circling back to the child point. This is why I feel like it's gonna be so hard for me to raise my kid, because I don't know. How am I gonna raise my kid? Do I want them to raise in a way where, and this is another point I want to get into deep, but we only got fucking couple minutes.
Keep going.
But how am I gonna raise my kid to suffer through the poverty and not give them the access of technology, or just to let them have the technology? Because it's hard to find the middle ground unless you're actually born in it. It's hard to maintain the middle ground. It's hard to give them poverty but also give them advancements. How am I gonna give you an iPad but trying to make you live in fucking village, bro? It can't really go like that. So do you know what I mean?
To be fair though, like even I think in all parts of the world now, technology exists one way or another. Like some places are more advanced than other places,
right.
but there's technology in some way, shape or form.
So how?
Like for example in Philippines, okay, not everyone has a phone compared to everyone in the UK, nearly everyone in the UK having a phone at least. But in the Philippines, internet cafes have been there for ages. So in some way, there is still that. However, I do believe that when it comes to technology, it's so crazy. I want to touch on this point because we are the last generation to live in the transition period of technology. But everyone who's Gen Alpha, which is the generation above us, they don't know what life is like before technology. So I'm talking about people, children born after COVID, just before COVID. They don't know what life is like without technology at all. We even use technology now as verbs, let's say, or I'll just Uber it sort of thing. And it's such a crazy.
I feel it's the nostalgia. Like we can still have the nostalgia about it. When they grow older, they won't have the nostalgia.
They will just have freaking TikToks and Roblox.
And even probably what's AI, bro.
AI,
AGI, artificial general intelligence.
So it's very hard to raise children in that way, but I also think that if there's an establishment of who you are as a person, I think your actions would show more to the kid than what you say. It's like, for example, with me, right? This is something that my mom always says. She says no technology whilst we're at the dinner table.
That's a good rule.
It's a good rule because and the one thing is when she said that, I'm just like, oh my gosh, why are you being so annoying?
Really?
But then the way that she explains it is, now my mom is very very spiritual. She says no phones in the dinner table because you're in front of a blessing. You're in front of food. You're in front of food that's been served to you. And knowing where she's from, knowing where we come from,
the heritage.
that is not every single person is able to afford food.
Yeah.
And back then she wasn't even able to afford food, you know, so that's why she says this is a blessing. You know, she also says make sure that you treat the furniture correctly in the house. It's just furniture, but respect the furniture, sort of thing. So ever since then, my mom, she never has phones in the dinner table, and she preaches what she says. So as a kid, I was like a teenager, as a kid, I'm just thinking to myself, you know what, this is so true. And I started to make my own informed decision to never have my phone, iPad, whatever in front of the dinner table, not even when I go out to eat, not even when I'm sitting alone at work, having lunch. That is just something because my mom said that to me, not because she kept on pestering me about it, but because I started to grow up and actually see what she meant. And I think you as a parent, when you are established in what you do, what your values are, because her why was there's a blessing right in front of you. It's always the why that pulls on the emotional triggers. So that why is the reason why I do that as well, because there's a blessing right in front of me. So I think even if you have no clue how to raise a child, I think having established values, having a firm foundation in your principles and your morals and what is right and what is wrong, the child can see that. And it's not to say that you want to force anything on the child, but it's also just to say, this is what I'm going to present to you. You make your own informed decision as a person that you are, as an individual, and you go what is right. But this is what I'm going to show you, and this is what happens in my house. Sort of thing.
See, that you brought up an interesting point now. I was going to circle back to as well. The whole idea of like, okay, what is right or what is wrong, right? But not necessarily what's right or wrong. But it's like, let's say that same famous saying, you don't truly value something until you've lost it, right? You only valued your mom's words for the blessing once you've experienced the evilness of technology. Do you know what I mean?
I guess so, yeah.
Right, and it's the same thing. It's the same thing with I don't know, people realizing their first love and shit. It's like they only realized their first love was really loving them, was really it for them until they've experienced that. The absence of it, and the rest of the people are not good for them. Do you know what I mean? Like, people don't truly value something until it's lost.